The words that made him kill. I showed up uninvited to my ex-boyfriend's wedding. As everyone gathered around for the cake cutting, I walked up slowly and whispered something in his ear. He spun around, grabbed the cake knife, and without hesitation, plunged it into his bride. Once, twice, 3 times, 18 stabs in total, like he was exorcising demons. Guests scattered, screaming. Blood splattered across white roses and champagne flutes. The media went wild. Everyone wanted to know what happened. What could possibly drive a man to murder his bride at their own wedding? But Marcus and I kept our silence. The police investigated for months but found no motive, no evidence of incitement to murder. They could only declare him mentally unstable. He was sentenced to a psychiatric facility for 5 years. The day Marcus was released happened to be his parents' 40th wedding anniversary. And I showed up again, uninvited, to whisper the same words in his ear. Chapter 1. It's been 3 years since Marcus dumped you, Sophia. What are you doing here? Trying to steal the groom? I stood there in my black dress, a dark stain on what should have been the happiest day of my ex-boyfriend's life. Marcus's eyes were cold, like I was just another stranger passing through. His gaze lingered on me for a second before returning to his bride, whispering sweet nothings in her ear. The wedding guests started murmuring, their eyes darting between Marcus and me. His parents rushed over, faces twisted with hostility. We didn't send you an invitation, his father growled. Have some dignity and leave. Don't ruin this day. But the bride, Jessica, stepped forward with a gracious smile. We all know each other here. I'm sure Sophia just came to wish us well. Seeing their daughter-in-law's generosity, Marcus's parents backed off. They seated me in the very last row, as far from the happy couple as possible. The incident passed quickly. Guests returned to their champagne and small talk. Then came time to cut the cake. Everyone crowded around the couple at the cake table. In the shuffle, I somehow ended up right next to Marcus. His arm was still around Jessica's waist, that devoted smile plastered on his face. I leaned in and whispered those words in his ear. His smile froze. The warmth in his eyes turned to something savage, like I'd awakened something monstrous inside him. He grabbed the cake knife and drove it into Jessica's chest. Her scream died in her throat as blood bloomed across her white dress. Guests shrieked and fled in panic. Flowers, tablecloths, even the sky seemed to turn red. I stood perfectly still, watching him kill her. I didn't try to stop him. I didn't run. Not until the sirens wailed. Through the chaos. Chapter 2. They put Marcus and me in separate interrogation rooms. What the hell did you say to him? Detective Morrison slammed his fist on the table. Why would he suddenly snap and kill his own bride? I barely lifted my eyes, my expression calm. No sign of the horror I just witnessed. I don't know. He slammed the table again. How can you not know? One sentence from you, and an innocent woman is dead. We've checked everything. Marcus and Jessica were happy. No fights, no problems. Not until you showed up. I laughed coldly. What, detective? Do my words have magic powers? You really think Marcus murdered his wife because of one sentence? Morrison's jaw clenched. Even he didn't believe in that kind of voodoo. They'd investigated thoroughly. Marcus and I hadn't seen each other in 3 years. No contact whatsoever. Marcus had been the perfect son straight A's, volunteered at animal shelters, never showed any violent tendencies. They couldn't figure out why he'd snapped. So they blamed my words. At least tell us what you said. We have a right to know. I met his eyes steadily. If you can prove my words are relevant to the case, I'll tell you. Otherwise, I can only report what I witnessed. Though you hardly need me for that. Everything's on the venue security cameras. Morrison's face flushed red. He looked ready to explode but finally just glared at me and stormed out. Meanwhile, in the other room, Marcus was worse off. He sat like an empty shell, eyes vacant, completely unresponsive to questions. Chapter 3. The moment I left the police station, Marcus and Jessica's parents descended on me like vultures. What did you say to him? Marcus's mother shrieked, then slapped me hard across the face. I always knew you were trash. Not good enough for my son. Why can't you leave him alone? Why did you have to destroy his life? Jessica's parents were no better. Her mother grabbed my collar, tears streaming down her face. Jessica was a good person. She never hurt you. Why did you make Marcus kill her? Her father stood with clenched fists, knuckles white. Marcus chose to leave you. It had nothing to do with Jessica. Why punish her? I stood silent through their screaming, their curses, like a statue without feeling. The media stalked me for months. Some offered fortunes just to know what I'd said, the words that could make a man kill. But I never spoke about that day. After 6 months, the police still had no motive, no evidence of incitement. They declared Marcus mentally unstable. His family threw everything they had into his defense. The best lawyers, every connection, every favor called in. Finally, they got him committed instead of imprisoned. His parents gave up their careers to be near the psychiatric hospital. They rented a cramped apartment nearby, dedicating their lives to his care. For 5 years, they refused every request I made to visit him. My only contact with Marcus remained those whispered words at his wedding. Through relentless effort and sacrifice, Marcus was finally released after 5 years. The day of his release was his parents' 40th wedding anniversary. Despite their diminished circumstances, they threw a party to celebrate both occasions: their son's freedom and their enduring marriage. Chapter 4. I wore the same black dress from 5 years ago, appearing like a ghost at their celebration. The room went silent. The festivities ground to a halt. Marcus's mother's carefully maintained composure shattered. She rushed at me, grabbing my dress. "You cursed thing. Why are you haunting us? Get out before I call security." They'd fallen far, but Marcus's parents still had pride. They'd invited everyone who mattered, desperate to prove their son was healed, ready to rejoin society. All that effort crumbled the moment I walked in. "Mrs. Hartley, I'm just here to celebrate. For your anniversary and Marcus's recovery." I held out a gift box with that same enigmatic smile. She knocked it from my hands like it was poisoned. "We don't want anything from you. Take your gift and get out." The journalists present smelled blood in the water. One called out, "Mrs. Hartley, you seem terrified. Is Marcus not really better? Afraid he'll kill again?" Her face went pale, but she forced a smile. "Of course not. The doctors say Marcus is completely recovered. No violent tendencies whatsoever. But this woman is dangerous. Who knows what she might say to trigger him." The journalist sneered. "If words can make him kill, maybe he should stay locked up." The words hit like a slap. Mrs. Hartley stood speechless. I picked up the gift, dusted it off, and placed it in her trembling hands. She accepted it this time, mumbling bitter thanks. Chapter 5. They seated me in the back again, watching me like hawks, making sure I stayed away from Marcus. When the toasts began, the crowd surged toward the head table. His parents were swept up in well-wishers, glasses raised, guard dropped. I took my chance, wine glass in hand, approaching Marcus slowly. When I reached him, I leaned in and whispered those same words from 5 years ago. His face transformed. He grabbed a steak knife from the table and plunged it into his mother's stomach. Blood sprayed across the white tablecloth. Mrs. Hartley stared at her son in shock before crumpling to the floor. "Marcus is killing again." The scream shattered the celebration. Chairs toppled. Glasses smashed. Mr. Hartley lunged forward to stop his son. Marcus turned on him like a rabid animal, slashing wildly. His father took cuts to his arms and legs before collapsing, begging, "Son, it's me, it's Dad." Marcus's response was to slit his throat. Then he returned to his mother, stabbing her 18 times, just like he'd done to Jessica. Someone had called 911. Police flooded in before more blood could be spilled. Marcus didn't resist. He let them cuff him, expression blank. But the Hartley relatives turned on me. "Arrest her. She made him do it. We all saw it." She whispered something. "And he went crazy. 5 years ago, same thing. She's the real killer." Detective Morrison recognized me immediately. "What did you say to him?" I gave the same answer as before. Silent about those words. "3 people are dead because of you." Still won't talk. Then a child ran forward, holding up a phone. I recorded what the lady said. Chapter 6. Is that true? You recorded everything? Morrison's voice was urgent, eyes locked on the 6-year-old boy clutching his phone. The kid nodded eagerly, innocent to the horror he'd witnessed. "I was filming from over there. Got the whole thing." Everyone pressed closer as Morrison grabbed the phone. He watched the video 3 times, his face growing more bewildered with each viewing. Finally, he looked up at me, voice shaking. "That's it? That's all you said? And he killed for that?" I maintained my enigmatic smile. "You saw for yourself." Morrison lunged forward, grabbing my collar. "No. There has to be more. Some hidden meaning. Tell me what you really meant." His hands trembled as he gripped me. I tried to pull away, but he held tight. I sighed, meeting his desperate gaze. "It means exactly what it sounds like. The rest, you can investigate yourself." The relatives were clamoring. "What did she say?" Morrison released me, turning to the crowd. "She said 5 words, just be yourself, Marcus." Chapter 7. How could those words make him kill? Voices rose in confusion and disbelief. Is Marcus just evil? No. His aunt protested immediately. I saw him risk his life to save a child from traffic. How could someone like that be inherently bad? His uncle spoke up. When I had my heart attack at 2 a.m., alone, Marcus drove me to the hospital. Stayed all night. Brought me breakfast. He cared when no one else did. After his uncle's wife had emptied his accounts and fled with the kids, only Marcus kept visiting, checking on him. This woman must have done something. Maybe she hypnotized him, made him kill. She probably knows witchcraft, mind control. You have to investigate her background. She's making people murder. The police didn't believe in magic, but they couldn't explain what happened. 3 deaths. Public pressure. Orders from above. They brought me in again. Chapter 8. Hours of interrogation under harsh lights. The same questions over and over. What do you know? Why does Marcus kill when you speak? But I gave them nothing new. Frustrated, they dug into my past. I grew up in foster care. No family, no close friends. A loner who kept to myself. They tore apart my apartment, even pried up floorboards. Nothing connected me to Marcus beyond what they already knew. Detective Morrison, you really think she knows voodoo? An officer's voice dripped sarcasm. Morrison replayed surveillance footage obsessively, memorizing every frame. Even if she did, what's her motive? Officer Kim flipped through files casually. Jealous ex-Marcus dumped her, she wanted revenge. Used mind control to make him kill his bride. Parents kept interfering, so she made him kill them too. Jesus, that's cold. Morrison smacked him with a folder. Use your brain. Personality doesn't change overnight. People are who they've always been. His voice was firm. The orphanage director swears Sophia was a good kid. Always helping others. She wouldn't do this. He set down the files, sighing. According to classmates, Sophia and Marcus were never even together. Just friends with shared interests. He paused. Sophia actually helped Marcus pursue another girl. The rumor mill twisted everything. Kim scratched his head. If not jealousy, why would she hurt him? Morrison patted his shoulder. That's what we need to find out. Every detail matters. Chapter 9. The investigation deepened. More questions emerged. They discovered Marcus had been my lifeline countless times. When I couldn't pay tuition, Marcus gave me his meal money, going hungry so I could stay in school. When I was hospitalized with pneumonia, he skipped classes to stay by my side. Fed me medicine, made soup, cooled my fever with damp cloths. Everything changed when his parents intervened. They'd misunderstood our friendship, accused me of gold digging. The confrontation was ugly. To spare Marcus the conflict, I distanced myself. After that, I focused on work. Never pursued him. Never interfered with his life. The police had nothing. They released me but assigned surveillance. 24/7 monitoring, hoping I'd slip up. I seemed oblivious to the tale, living my quiet routine. Work. Home. Groceries. Cooking. Day after day, nothing unusual. 3 months of this, Kim complained. No progress. How long do we keep watching? Morrison was adamant. She's connected somehow. She'll reveal something eventually. As if on cue, they watched me enter a florist and buy white roses. I carried the flowers to a taxi unusual, since I always walked or biked. That's weird, Kim muttered. She never takes cabs. And she doesn't keep flowers. Morrison cut him off. Something's happening. Follow her. They trailed my taxi to a remote cemetery. Kim frowned. Who's she visiting? She has no family. Morrison's eyes were grave. She's visiting Jessica. Chapter 10. What? Kim almost shouted before catching himself. He stared at my retreating figure. Knuckles white on the steering wheel. She caused Jessica's death. Now she's playing mourner. He whispered furiously. Morrison shot him a warning look before quietly following. Morning mist clung to the cemetery. The air smelled of damp earth. Jessica's headstone was dusty, forgotten. I placed the roses gently, then pulled out a cloth to clean the stone with infinite care. Kim watched from behind a tree, fists clenched. We've got her now. Let's see her explain this. Morrison clamped a hand over his mouth. Wait. I didn't notice them, focused entirely on Jessica's grave. Wind stirred my hair as I spoke. Jessica, I'm sorry you got caught in this storm. My voice was soft, full of genuine regret. You were innocent. I hope you don't hate Marcus. May you rest in peace. Through the bug they'd planted in my purse, Kim heard everything. His frown deepened. She says Jessica was innocent? Tells her not to blame Marcus. I need answers now. Morrison yanked him back. Look at her hands. 3 bouquets, but she only left 1. Kim adjusted his glasses, counting. 3 bouquets. 1 placed. Understanding dawned. She's visiting the Hartleys too. Looks like it. Let's follow. I cleaned Jessica's headstone 3 times, pulled every weed with gentle hands. Only then did I move to my next destination. Chapter 11. I stood on the windswept hill, looking at 2 gray headstones, Mr. and Mrs. Hartley. I'd never liked them, but Marcus was gone forever now. My mind flashed to him in handcuffs, no anger in his eyes. Just bone-deep exhaustion. Marcus, I know your path was hard. Don't worry, I'll take care of your parents' graves. Wait, what? Kim turned to Morrison, confused. You were right. She doesn't hate Marcus. Morrison kept his eyes on me. I knew it. During interrogation, I saw sadness in her eyes. Regret. But never hatred. When she looked at Marcus, I saw only pain for him. Kim's confusion deepened. Then why make him kill? My voice came through the wire again. Mr. and Mrs. Hartley, Marcus won't be coming out again. I'll visit you every year in his place. I don't know what happens after death, if you can hear me. But if you can, I hope you'll reflect on your actions. My voice turned cold. You deserved what you got. Kim relayed everything to Morrison. Morrison's face darkened. Something clicked. He stood abruptly. Wait here. I need to talk to her alone. Chapter 12. Footsteps crunched on gravel behind me. I turned to see Morrison approaching. No uniform today, just a dark jacket over his solid frame. His eyes were sharper than usual, cutting through pretense. I met his gaze without flinching. Sunlight filtered through branches, casting harsh shadows on his face. Sophia. We need to talk. I cut straight to it. Still want to know how I made Marcus kill? He didn't answer directly. Instead, he pulled out cigarettes, lit one with practiced ease. Smoke curled as he spoke, each word heavy. Marcus. Killed himself in prison. Less than a month in. What? My voice cracked. The flowers fell from nerveless fingers. My chest tightened, breath coming short. I managed a bitter laugh. So he couldn't survive after all. Morrison took a long drag. Tore his sheets into strips. Tied them to the bed frame. Strangled himself. Medical examiner said anyone with even a shred of survival instinct couldn't have done it. He crushed the cigarette underfoot. Sophia, maybe we've been wrong from the start. He stepped closer. You never incited him to kill. You just understood him. His pain. His struggle. That's why you stayed so calm, isn't it? Tears fell silently down my face. This day had finally come. Chapter 13. Detective Morrison, when you passed notes in school, were you worried your parents would find them? I asked casually. Morrison blinked, caught off guard by the seemingly random question. But he answered honestly. Sure, sometimes. I smiled slightly. How did you handle those notes? He thought for a moment. Tore them up. Threw them away. I nodded. Right. Most of us think that's enough. But Marcus was different. He ate them. Every note. Thought it was safer. I laughed bitterly at the memory. Once he accidentally brought home a love letter from another girl. Even though he shredded it immediately, his parents spent all night piecing it together from the trash. They reconstructed every word. Morrison's frown deepened. The next day, that girl was expelled. Nobody connected it to the Hartleys, but Marcus and I knew. After that, he ate everything. I even joined him sometimes. I pulled out a piece of paper, crumpled it, and swallowed it efficiently. The bitter taste spread across my tongue. Like this. You never found evidence because we ate it all. Sympathy flickered across Morrison's face. But Marcus was an adult. Why couldn't he escape their control? Why resort to this? Chapter 14. I smiled sadly. Detective, you know the story of the baby elephant? Tied to a stake when small, it tries desperately to break free but can't. Even when it grows massive and could easily snap the rope, it never tries again. The limitation lives in its mind forever. I paused, gaze distant. Marcus was that elephant. When they first sent him away, he didn't want to come out. Prison was freedom compared to home. But his parents couldn't leave him there. They fought tooth and nail to bring him back. Morrison's eyes widened. He preferred prison to his parents? I nodded. Prison walls were nothing compared to his real cage. That house, those people who claimed to love him, that was his true confinement. Morrison processed this, then asked angrily. But Jessica was innocent. Why kill her? I sighed deeply. She was innocent, yes. But she was also forced on him. They arranged his marriage, inserted Jessica into his life, just like they arranged everything else. He couldn't refuse, never learned how to refuse them. All those years, he was their puppet. Every step, every choice, pulled by their strings. I think in that moment, he finally snapped. I laughed bitterly. Ironic, isn't it? I didn't want him to go insane. But without insanity, he could never be sane. Can you imagine? He was 26, and his mother still insisted on bathing him. Said he couldn't get clean enough on his own. Morrison's voice turned stern. Why didn't you speak up sooner? We could have helped. Chapter 15. I laughed, the sound hollow as I knelt, fingers digging into cold earth. The soil's chill seeped through my skin, grounding me in this moment of truth. This was Marcus's private hell. He didn't want anyone to know. Besides, can police really intervene in family matters? Without bodies piling up, would you have listened to anything I said about what he endured? Nobody cared about his feelings. Not really. Morrison's face showed I'd hit a nerve. I knew how the world worked. Pain stayed invisible until it exploded into tragedy. He knelt beside me, hand gentle on my shoulder. I know you're hurting. But hiding his truth didn't help him. His words cut deep. Tears finally broke free. Marcus's shame ran bone deep. Like an infected wound, rather endure the agony than expose it to strangers. I choked on my words. If the world knew the Hartley's truth, Marcus would have been even more destroyed. I grabbed earth in my fists. They gave him everything except the freedom to be himself. He lived in constant contradiction. Mental control and guilt, twisted together until he forgot who he really was. You think he killed them from hate? No. Nobody escapes loving their parents. He was torn apart by that love. I think he just wanted it to end. Morrison's voice cracked. How can I help? I smiled through tears. Let these secrets die here. Marcus chose death over truth. Honor that. Morrison's fists clenched, internal struggle evident. Finally, he nodded. I promise. One more thing. I turned to him, smile genuine now. Can I have Marcus's ashes? I want to take him somewhere free. Maybe Morrison pitted us. The ashes came quickly. I drove to countryside, far from city chaos. On a quiet hillside, I buried him and planted an oak sapling. Marcus, if there's a next life, be a tree. No chains, no cages. Just grow wild and free. The sapling swayed gently in the breeze, as if answering. Marcus was finally free.